The man who donated $3 million to rebuild a rural children's hospital signed the check with a single line, left at the steps of St. Joseph's Abbey, March 4th, 1993. No name, no return address. Just one sentence less a signature than a scar. The news spread like oil across Stillwater. In Stillwater, Nebraska, a town best known for its gas station and Southern-style pie diner, the story hit like a thunderstorm in a drought. Reporters flooded in. CNN sent push alerts. Anonymous donor shakes up local hospital. Who was left at the steps of St. Joseph's, and in a small hospital tucked between wheat fields, the finance director froze when she opened the transaction confirmation email. Attached was the receipt and a typed note: "I don't need a plaque. I just need these kids to survive." No name a press conference was rushed into place. Behind the podium stood a newly printed hospital banner, hastily taped over with a fresh slogan: "Every heartbeat saved is a thank you to the one no one's ever seen." Cameras panned over puzzled faces. Reporters fired questions. No one knew anything. No photos, no footage. Only a single email address in the system: noname93quietriver.org. At the far end of the back courtyard, a young pediatrician named Emily Rhodes stood still, her eyes fixed on her phone screen. She was zooming in on the email address printed on the receipt, her finger resting on the domain quietriver.org. She knew it. 10 years ago, back when she was a high school student in rural Kansas, she'd learned to code through a free online forum. Her mentor never gave a name, only went by a single sign: No Name 93. No voice, no profile picture. Just dry, steady messages that somehow felt gentle. Retype the command: "You missed a semicolon. It's okay. You don't need to be perfect. Just don't give up." Back then, Emily studied on a beat-up library computer, surrounded by the hum of old fans and the faint smell of sweat from elderly men dozing in chairs. Now she stood in a white lab coat fresh off an ER shift, a full-fledged pediatrician. She slipped her phone into her coat pocket, turned and walked away. Something in her chest quietly knocked loose. At that same moment, in a small apartment on the south side of Omaha, Nebraska, a man in his 30s closed his laptop. On the table, the printed receipt and a steaming mug of instant coffee. On the wall, a simple wooden frame. Inside, no photograph. Just a sheet of white paper pressed behind glass. Every day he wiped the frame with a soft cloth, like a ritual. He put on his coat, slipped a small USB into his chest pocket, and locked the door. He walked down the stairs. No one said hello. No one noticed. On the rusted metal door, a line of faded marker ink remained. "You don't need to know who I am. I just hope I was once what someone needed." In the archived student records of Stillwater West High School, year 2005-2006, under personal information, there's a line: "Student name A12, identity unknown. Gender male, birth date unknown, estimated March 1993. Notes: resided at St. Joseph's Orphanage. No listed guardian. He didn't have a birth certificate. No social security number. No legal name." At first, the staff just called him A12, a reference to his classroom code. Later, the other kids in the dorm gave him a name. Just J. Short. Unattached, like him. Jay wasn't poorer than the others, just less visible. In gym class, he was always the last one picked. His name was often skipped during award announcements. Every class photo had one empty spot in the corner where Jay had chosen not to stand. No one noticed. He didn't mind. Principal Mullen once told his homeroom teacher, "That boy's trying to live without leaving a trace." But I've never seen anyone observe that intensely. It's like he's recording everything, so no one sees him existing. Jay was smart, quietly. He never raised his hand, never asked for extra credit. He had a strange habit. He always sat near the fire exit, Always carried a USB stick, always kept an unsharpened pencil in his pocket, as if ready to leave mid-sentence, mid-life, mid-anything. When other kids filled their journals with dreams, I want to be... Jay didn't write anything. He just drew a white square, empty, centered on the page. The library was the only place he felt real. He taught himself how to fix broken computers from a torn manual and a discarded hard drive left in storage. Every Friday night when others went home, Jay stayed behind, tightening screws, rewiring old motherboards. No one asked him to. He never told anyone. But one by one, the forgotten machines flickered back to life. In 9th grade, on a freezing winter day, the school's server crashed. All digital assignments vanished. Teachers panicked. The IT guy was on leave. Jay, silent in the hallway, stepped in. He borrowed the key to the server room. 3 hours later, he restored every file from a backup he'd quietly created months earlier. Principal Mullen asked him afterward, "Why did you do that?" Jay simply said, "Because no one else saved it," and left before his name could even be written down. On graduation day, everyone threw their caps in the air. Jay didn't show. His name was misspelled on his diploma, missing a last name. He didn't correct it. For him, having the paper was enough. A name was just something borrowed. That year, Jay received a scholarship in computer science from an anonymous nonprofit. No one knew who referred him. No one knew who approved it. There was just a handwritten line at the bottom of the confirmation letter. A child without a name still deserves a future. In 2013, Jay moved to Omaha. No send-off, no welcome post. Just a small backpack, an external hard drive, and a single email address, no name 93 Quiet River. Org. He didn't rent an apartment with windows. Didn't buy a bed, just a thin mattress. A makeshift desk balanced on 2 concrete bricks, and a second-hand Wi-Fi router paid in installments. Jay learned by copying, line by line from GitHub, question by question on Stack Overflow. Snippets of notes left behind on whiteboards after class he never attended. He never made a LinkedIn profile, never posted a graduation photo, never applied for a job, and yet he was the silent force fixing the back end of a startup in California, contributing through an open-source developer forum. His username, nullframer93. Bio. No name, no credit, just code. In 2016, the state of Nebraska faced a healthcare crisis. Local clinics couldn't sync with regional hospitals. Patients had to wait 6 to 8 hours just to reprint medical records. Jay read about it in a stray Reddit comment. That was enough. He got to work. He coded for nearly 3 months straight. The languages, Python, SQLite, and one belief connectivity should be a right, not a privilege. The interface was brutally simple, so simple even an elderly doctor who'd never touched a tablet could use it. The system launched quietly as Quiet River, CareSync v1.0. The first user was a nurse from Hebron. She sent a thank you letter without knowing where to send it. There was no contact info, no company name, only a reply address, no name 93 Quiet, river.org, and one sentence. Thank you for doing what's harder than writing code saving lives when no one's watching. A year later, Jay's system was being used in 14 towns across the state. Neonatal mortality dropped by 38%. Patient record management costs fell by over 60%. Reporters started chasing the shadow of the anonymous developer. Some claimed it was a former Google engineer. Others said it was an AI built by rogue coders. Jay, meanwhile, still lived in a windowless apartment. His desk still sat on 2 crumbling bricks. His USB still plugged into a wall charger, always ready for backup. He accepted no awards, released no updates on a roadmap, didn't sign his name on the software footer. He just added one line in the corner of the interface. Built for the ones never recorded in the system who still deserve to live. The only thing he upgraded was the inbox, because more and more people wrote thank you notes with no clue who they were writing to. A 12-year-old boy from Broken Bow once wrote, "I have severe asthma. Thanks to your program, my mom doesn't have to drive me 5 hours anymore." "Who are you?" Jay didn't reply. He just saved the letter into a folder labeled Answered by Continuing. In 2020, as the world went into lockdown, Jay quietly launched a small online class called Quiet Keys. No official website, no tuition fees, only 5 students accepted each month. There was one requirement. You don't need to know much, only that no one's ever taught you before. One October afternoon, Jay received an email from a strange address, Isaac J. Connor. Subject line: I don't know how to code. I just know my mom's out of money, and I don't want to keep watching my sister cough without medicine. Jay didn't respond right away. He simply sent back a single zip file along with one line: "If you can open this, your first class starts at 7 p.m. It took Isaac nearly 6 hours to unlock it. No help, no internet forums, just trial after trial until one line finally appeared on the screen. Welcome Quiet Key, 191. Jay didn't teach like anyone Isaac had ever met. There were no lectures, no definitions, only scenarios. What if the power goes out? What if the network dies? What if the only survivor needs to find their way out of a hospital with no map? Would you code for elegance or survival?" Isaac studied in a dim living room, beside a sister burning up with fever, and a mother who worked double shifts at a gas station. He never saw Jay's face, only heard the rhythm of his keyboard steady as a heartbeat. 3 months in, Isaac built his first working app, a weather alert system for old phones designed for rural areas with poor signal. Jay didn't praise him. He just sent one line back: "This could save lives." Nothing more. That night, Isaac found his student account deleted. No goodbye message, no certificate, no fanfare. Only a short email from no-name 938quietriver.org. When you start saving others, the lesson is over. Years passed. Isaac went on to study medicine at the University of Nebraska on a full scholarship. He never told anyone the full story. No one believed him anyway. He kept the email, filed in a folder titled Debt, Not in Money. Spring 2024. At a small county hospital on the outskirts of Lincoln, Nebraska, an unconscious man was wheeled into the ER. Car accident. No ID. No emergency contact. The attending intern that night was Isaac Connor, now a young resident. He didn't recognize the man, bruised, swollen hands calloused. But when he opened the inside pocket of the man's jacket, he found a small folded piece of paper wrapped around a USB stick. Written in fading ink, Hope, March 4th, 1993. Isaac's hand trembled. He didn't know why, but something cracked deep in a memory he didn't realize was still there. The surgery went well. The man remained in a coma. Stable. Silent. Isaac didn't ask questions, didn't tell the others. He just sat by the bed for a moment, placed the USB gently back into the drawer, and whispered to no one in particular, "If this is him, then I owe my life to the man who taught me how to save someone else's." Later that fall, on a crisp afternoon in Stillwater, golden leaves scattered across the old schoolyard of Stillwater West High. Jay had returned, a dark coat, an unreadable face, a USB clutched in his hand, an old habit he never shook, even though no one had asked him to carry anything anymore. He sat on the 4th bench from the entrance, the exact spot where A12 used to sit alone during recess. No one called out. No one knew his name. Only the fading ring of a school bell echoed from afar, like it belonged to a different year entirely. From a side door in the administrative wing, an elderly woman stepped out, slow but steady silver hair, pinned neatly behind her head. Mary Lancaster, the former principal. The first and only person who ever gave Jay a placeholder name when he had none. She wasn't surprised to see him. She simply walked over, sat beside him, and opened her worn cloth bag. Inside, a small bundle wrapped in aged ivory silk. With wrinkled hands, she unfolded it. A piece of cotton fabric, yellowed by time, delicately hand-stitched in pale blue thread, uneven and fragile. Hope, March 4th, 1993. Jay said nothing, neither did she. Only their eyes met, slow, gentle, and deep, like the bottom of a still lake. No questions. No. Is it really you? The answer was already there in the way his hand trembled when it touched the cloth. You kept it all these years. Jay's voice cracked like something dusted off after decades. Yes, she replied, her gaze resting on the empty playground. Because some things shouldn't be forgotten no matter how much the world tries to erase them. People always said I didn't exist, Jay murmured. I never thought that, she said. But I wanted you to have the right to choose how you exist. They sat like that for 10 full minutes. No cameras, no interviews, no audience. Just the wind lifting a few stray test papers from a nearby student's open backpack. Jay wrapped the fabric carefully in its silk again, then offered it back to her. No, she stopped him. It belongs to you now. He looked at her one last time. In the eyes that had once read thousands of student records, there was now just one name that never had to be written. He stood, nodded, and walked away. April 2025. A short notice appeared at the bottom of page 8 in the Omaha Daily. Unidentified man passes away at Saunders County Community Hospital. No documentation found. Body will be cremated after 7 days if unclaimed. No one came. No obituary. No funeral. In the hospital's personal effects room, they found a small box. Inside, a USB stick, a nameless notebook, and an old piece of fabric embroidered with fading blue letters. Hope, March 4th, 1993. The night nurse almost threw it away. But the head doctor, Isaac Connor, asked to keep the USB. He took it home, plugged it into his laptop. No photos, no identity files, no journal entries. Just a single folder, public year release, inside the complete source code for the Quiet River Health System. Dozens of fully developed blueprints for education tools, disaster alert apps, rural elder care networks. Every project finished, none ever published, and one final document. Plain text, titled, "Don't put my name on it." It read, "If you're reading this, it means I'm no longer alive to release it. You may share it, but don't attach anyone's name. Let people use it as if it was always there, as if it never needed a creator." 6 months later, Quiet River 2.0 was integrated into public health systems across 4 Midwestern states. No one knew who built it. No one asked. But every time a doctor opened the interface in the lower left corner of the screen, one quiet line appeared, built for those who were never recorded. Back in Stillwater, the high school installed a new plaque by the courtyard bench. No name, no portrait, just one sentence. The child without a last name. The man who didn't need one. The one who built what no one saw so others could be seen. Mary Lancaster, now retired, kept the glass frame on her old desk. The white fabric had yellowed to the color of tea. The stitches barely legible now. Hope, March 4th, 1993. Whenever someone asked about it, she would simply smile and say it belonged to a student. Not the brightest, just the only one who never needed roll call.